Okay, now I'm live. It looks like I was streaming to the wrong stream. So I was like, why is Inner City Pigeon talking to me like I'm not live? Turns I'm not live. And then there's my phone telling me that I'm going live. All right. Okay. I will start my diatribe over again. Well, at least you didn't have to deal with me setting up my stuff here and going through that boringness. But okay, say something in the chat if you could see me live right now. I just want to make sure I'm on the right. I'm on the right chat here, or I'm on the right stream. Okay, Inner City Pigeon, I can hear you now. Okay, good, good. I think people are in the right live stream now. So that's weird. I thought I was doing everything all right, but turns out I am technically illiterate. All right. So back to what I was saying before. Here is what what I am speculating is the reasoning for all these changes right now. Now it's my turn to pester you. Feel free. Talk all the raunchy shit you want. What I think happened when they took over in 2023, they were looking at what Octagon was doing and thinking, okay, we need to make a splash with our new sets to get people into this game again and excited for what we're doing here. So they gave us a bunch of sets in a row that just happened to have a lot of cards that were really a little too strong. There's a reason that they got away from mass gem conversion with no consequence to you or no extra hoops to jump through. So they realized that because we haven't really gotten cards like Template Discovery and Golden Wish since. And so I think that the way that they wanted to address it and just kind of hope the problem went away was to just tune down the power of the subsequent sets. So we haven't really gotten a whole lot lately that have anything near the power level of the staples that got changed here. The problem with that is obvious to anyone with a brain, right? Because they're just like, well, you can keep giving us all the lame sets that you want, but if the older, better sets are still in rotation in standard, we're gonna just keep using those anyway. So, I hope they do a live PvP event with big rewards. Totally worth the nerfs for that. Interesting. Okay, your God Krulax is here. Gozmaster, you hear that? Gauze, you are a saint on earth. I love main loop support and protect this man. Heard these changes were all Balthazar's fault. Let's spread that rumor. So what was I saying? So yeah, they got to the point where I think that they just had no choice at this point if they were not going to change the rotation policy for them in terms of when sets were going to rotate out. They pretty much just had to change the cards if they wanted any semblance of I guess balance as far as that goes. Because I think that they heard all the feedback of people just going, well, why do I want to collect all these new cards if the old sets are better? And they were trying to kind of curb people's collectability of those sets like OTJ by just taking them out of the rotation. Elite packs for OTJ were pretty few and far between as far as I could tell. So I think they were trying to actively discourage people from going to try and collect those old cards that were so strong. Problem is that doesn't really do anything to address the people that already have those cards. And those cards are obviously worth going for. Probably people have different feelings about that now. But I think this was really the only. I mean, I think that this kind of points to a shift in design philosophy, maybe, or maybe they already had this design philosophy to begin with, but they just executed it badly. But you know, that's just my opinion. I don't have any actual data to support that. I just kind of just going off of what I can take from the changes and everything. So, with all that being said, we could get into the players' opinions, things I've seen online and on Discords about them, and maybe address them that way. But before we do that, let's actually talk about the balancing changes now. I know Gaz went through and went through this all these cards with the fine tooth comb already, but yeah, now it's my turn. So the cards below have been adjusted. To know more, check our post about them. And why not? This is where they actually talked about why they changed everything. Okay, this will be. I think this will be fun for me to go through and kind of talk about why they changed everything in their own words, and just kind of talk about their own words. So with this release, reintroduced many changes to cards. We aimed at bringing some of these cards down from oppressive to great. Okay, others could use a bit more shine, so we made them quicker or stronger. Finally, a few cards had the right idea, but their mechanics made them too furious, too fast. That's just like your opinion, man. In these cases, we used fixed but large numbers to keep them strong without scaling. Okay. So let's see if they live up to that. Ocelot Pride. A lot of the balancing changes we will do this time have to do with limitations, and Ocelot Pride is a great example to show why we need cards to have these thresholds for activations. Octagon already showed that to you, but fine. A lesson learned late is still a lesson learned. Its trigger that cares for life gains trigger new life gains when paired properly, effectively looping infinite tokens in life. Yes. 4, when you gain life during your turn, create a Johnny's soldier tokens. When you gain life during the first time during your turn, create 6 a Johnny soldier tokens. So, I mean, that's still a solid, strong effect to pair with Healer of the Pride. That's still, you know, you're still making 6 Ajani tokens a turn, which means you are converting 18 gems with Healer of the Pride. So it's still a functional card. It's just way more limited in what you can do with it. It's an obvious win con. I don't see myself playing with this card how it is now, but I can see people still finding use out of the interaction with Healer of the Pride there, which I don't think was ever touched in this thing here. So a few are good, but our mechanics suck. So instead of fixing the mechanics, we'll nerf the good ones. Yeah, I know, right? That's a whole other thing. We knew Metastatic Evangel was redundant in his effects. His effects trigger his own effects. So, I mean, yeah, at playtests, he seemed to be able to present a help for control builds in exchange for a creature slot. I think that's what they mean when it would destroy supports. When he hit the live servers, he performed way stronger. This also made his other abilities increase in proportion. We are limiting his interactions with token creatures while preserving the original idea. If he's still able to keep supports at bay with reasonable consistency without all the explosive power interaction with multiple token creature and proliferate. Before, when a creature enters a battlefield under your control, proliferate, then reinforce that creature. When a non-token creature enters the battle. So basically, it's the same thing, but it just doesn't trigger off of token creatures. The issue here was the fact that proliferate has the whole saga thing. And there were other cards, I think, that weren't sagas. But like, because you could just reuse the saga thing over and over again, every time you proliferated, that meant that token creatures would just, especially if the proliferate, the third chapter, created a token, then you would just go infinite. So I get why they had to change that. I think it's a much less effective card and not a card that I will use for much anymore, unfortunately, because it's way harder to put non-token creatures into play than token creatures. I don't know. You would have to make like some loop deck or something to have a similar effect to it, but I don't know if it's going to really be that worth it with this card anymore. So, don't love that, but unfortunately, there were things that it was breaking in a bad way. There was a card, I forget which one. I think it was a Johnny Fells the Godsire, where it would just keep looping and you would never hit the loop timer. So they definitely needed to fix that part of it. But maybe it's just a little too much, because now I don't know if I see it as like that good of a card anymore. Definitely not a chase card anymore to me. So, Titan's Vanguard, where are we at with this one? One of the other patterns we started to keep track of is exponential variables. Titan's Vanguard had this issue. Its constant power doubling makes him one-shot Eldrazi very quickly. We still wanted to see power accumulating, just not that fast. Before, creatures get +X+X. X is this creature's power. That's always been kind of a dangerous thing in this game, giving your creatures like double like every time, whatever that equation is. As we'll see later, they did that to another card. And now creatures you control get +5/+5. I get it. I think they should have, if they were going to make such a nerf to it, they should have made him cheaper, because it's still at 20. Getting up, I mean, 3 creatures getting +15 every time you hit a Titan's Vanguard is still pretty strong. It's just not something you're going to be including in most platinum decks anymore. It's a fine card to get if you just pull it from mana burn still, but it's definitely been tuned down a lot. It's like I said in Gauze's chat, it was a masterpiece level strength of a card in a rare. Granted, PMA 2 rare, so it's a pretty tough rare to get, but still, you know, I get why they had to change that one, even if I don't love the change. Speaking of ones I don't love the change, but I get it. Back in Town. Another attribute of Titan's just a mid-rare card now. Master and Forget. Yeah, I get it. I don't disagree. Another attribute of cards that are being targeted for rebalance are cards with infinite range on a variable. Although powerful cards, man, but I love those cards. Give me all the infinite range on a variable cards. Although powerful cards are nice to play with, sometimes a single card has the potential to end the game without a time to be answered. I mean, there are plenty of cards like that, aren't there? I don't know. Back in Town does that by using the cumulative value of the creature's power. It's possible to revive over 100 power, and it will stack with everything that you still have on board. Yeah, for that reason, we decided to put a limitation, keep the effect still strong, and maintain the board, reducing that instantaneous damage range. Before your opponent loses X life and you gain X life. So it's still bringing creatures into play from your graveyard, and I do like that. I still think that that's a pretty strong card. That, it just doesn't, you're just delaying the effect by a turn. I don't think a lot of people were using Back in Town anymore. I think everybody kind of migrated over to Raise the Past instead. But, you know, if you're using blue-black STA, then you're probably using Back in Town. You know, I get why they want to change it. If Greg was playing this on you, you had no shot to win. But I don't know if Greg was using it so much that they needed to change it for public outcry reasons. I think this is just a thing where they were just like, oh, we're changing the design philosophy, so this gets swept up in it. I think that's what the justification there was. Hey, Roy. Good to see you. Master of Keys is another card. Okay, so this is the same one. Exponential effect. Card starts to get multiples of itself stack, which helps its effect to get it. It's swift to hit triple digits with it. Its trigger will still fetch itself, just not as fast. Well, I don't think Master of Keys was the issue that Titan's Vanguard was, because for one, it was only buffing itself, and it still took plenty of it still took plenty of ETBs to get it to be lethal. It's still pretty strong, I guess. Reinforce this creature. I still like that it has what's the name of the mechanic that it has? not Eerie, the other one from Duskmorn. So it's still quick to get on the board. But yeah, unfortunately, it makes it more of just like a piece in a combo than a win con itself. And I wasn't really in favor of this one needing to be changed at all. I think it was a plenty strong card that had plenty of counters for it. I don't think it was like warping the meta in a way, really. But again, it's like I said, change in philosophy means change in design here. Keys was a nice card for a win con, yeah, but with its limiter, it's still good. But double strike or aqua to get him beefy enough to swing and win. Yeah, I agree with all that. It was, I think it was perfectly fine as a standalone win con, but based on what they're saying there, I understand why they changed it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. Okay, mystical teachings, the other elephant in the room here. For this one, we need to tell a bit of paper magic history. Oh, goody. When Snapcaster Mage was released in Innistrad, the card by itself changed the way people played the game. I do not have a paper magic background, so this means nothing to me. Every single instant in the source in the game now could be replayed. A lot of decks now have access to way more spells than before, and the meta drastically changed. Well, when we recreated the same effect when reimagining Mystical Teaching Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest and pumping it up to a masterpiece level. Every single spell mana cost we made after releasing Mystical Teachings didn't matter anymore. It was possible just to tutor and give full mana to it. And we loved it for that. Both events, limiting, tutoring, and full mana, when put together, create this effect. It reduces the need for other cards since our best in slot. We are reducing its power to allow mana cost on spells to be relevant again. Before, mana cost 9 and the card gains full mana. Mana cost 12 and that card gains full mana. I think if they left the mana cost at 9 or even maybe reduce the cost, it would have been better, because right now you're just not getting enough. The ratios are off on this card now. If it was mana cost 7, you could still fetch a card and you get more, like the accumulation is you get a net positive on the mana gains by more than 100%. So that would have been a more acceptable change for me. Making it cost 12 means that there's not a whole lot of incentive to cast this card over others. I think that this makes the cards like Universal Surveillance, Will of the Temor, and all that way better than this card now. Which I guess makes sense because those cards cost more than this one. But what's the new card that we got? The blue spell that what is it? The blue command, I think it is. Yeah, not full mana 15, only 15. Yeah, net positive masterpiece. Yeah, I think they overdid it. Unfortunately, I think that they just took the ban hammer or the nerf hammer a little too hard on this, on mystical teachings. Makes it I still need to test it a lot more. I played a game with my Kasmina Story Circle loop deck, and I noticed that it really hinges on MT into Tempt, getting it going fast. And it was really a lot slower to get that combo going. And I don't know how I feel about that. I really have to go and rebuild all my mystical teaching stuff. I knew I wasn't gonna like the mystical teachings change, but even for me, this was way too far of a nerf. Yeah, pour one out for mystical teachings. Unfortunately, I think they just went too far with it. Yeah, you guys are all right. I don't see mystical teachings being used at all anymore. Me either. Maybe they could have made Expressive iteration, good again. Throw us a bone here, Webcore. Actually, I don't hate expressive iteration. I think it's a better card than people give it credit for. Um, but maybe it's just because I got it after it was nerfed. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. Here's another big one. We are also attacking cards with extreme efficiency. Rakdos does it all. Yeah. Creature removal, support removal, increasing power. Rakdos strangles long-term strategies because it always removes something. True. Paired with a good removal suite, it becomes an efficient gameplay lock. Well, yeah, that's why everybody was playing it. Reducing its power so it doesn't dissolve everything in the match, can still be part of a locking strategic plan. Before, at the end of your turn, destroy a random opposing creature. If you can't destroy a random opposing non-simple support, this effect can affect Vanguard supports, then reinforces creature. So now it's basically just not destroying a random opposing creature every turn. So I think the workaround for that is going to be something like putting in Ulamog or Felia into your deck so that you get both creature removal and support removal in there. I mean, Ulamog and Rakdos in the same deck is pretty awful. You are definitely making people hate their life if you do that. But then again, people like to hurt each other. But yeah, I mean, it's an acceptable change. I feel for the people who bought this card as part of an $80 bundle for that reason. Hopefully you can still have time to put in a request for a refund if that is how you feel. So, because I didn't realize that they just put this out for sale again so recently. And I have no problem with you guys going ahead and trying to get your money back on that. When it's like 2 years old, I mean, come on, no, unless you buy a freaking warranty on your car, nobody's really honoring something like that. Assimilation ages. Okay, this one was another one where they probably went a little too far. Received a while ago an interesting question to the tickets. Why is the card design Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest so different from the original cards? The short version of the answer is that MTGPQ is merging two great franchises with a unique approach and not a direct translation of paper Magic. This does not stop us from attempting to recreate cards as close to the originals as possible, but there are times where their effects don't translate well. There are a lot of times where that happens. This card is an excellent example of how shocking the difference is when attempting to adapt from paper directly. The basic concept is there. Assimilated, one of your opponent's creatures becomes your own through Aegis intervention, but Paper Magic and MTGPQ has enormous differences, and the design team needs to consider the impact on the actual game of such direct concept translation. But respecting that design too much sometimes creates cards like Assimilation Aegis. Cards that adapt well but behave in the game's meta totally different than expected. We knew through testing that Aegis was a strong control piece and that allowed the player to use the opponent's battlefield against them. But what we saw happening during the following months is that supports are still way too conveniently protected, more than we hope to be with the increasing conversion effects and removals we introduced in the meta. I don't know. I don't know if that's totally true, which allowed for Aegis to shine way too bright as a permanent creature denial piece, which couldn't easily be solved. I mean, maybe I have a different opinion on that because, you know, I have cards that mass remove supports. But if you don't have those, then Aegis was probably a lot more of a nuisance for you than it was for me. Even worse, Aegis was basically a double free removal each turn since you never need to care for the first slot creature that opponent has. It'll be disabled anyway as long as Aegis is there and still presents a threat with the last slot every turn. It almost always required a 3-per-1 solution. Basically, you need a creature bait for Aegis. You need to survive that bait attack and yet somehow without it being another creature that can be stolen by Aegis. That's true. And you need a good support removal to remove Aegis. Yes. That is true. The changes to Aegis are to make it more vulnerable and finite while still trying to respect part of the adaptation. Okay, those are all fair points. I don't agree with them all, but at least I could see their thought process there. Testing. They have players that play the game. Believe it or not, they do. I mean, it's fun to make fun of them for that, but they actually do. Before Shield 3 and when this support is played, your first creature opponent controls is disabled. Being of combat on your turn, gain control of the last creature opponent controls until end of turn. Okay, yeah, we all know how it works. After Shield 1. So already that's probably too much because, I don't know, I just don't like those cards. I don't play them very often. Shield 1 cards are just too vulnerable. Even something like Midnight Snack has 2 shields and it's too vulnerable because it's blowing up the board. So it's hard to keep around. But I think Shield 2 would have been perfectly acceptable. At the beginning of your opponent's turn, your first creature opponent controls is disabled until the end of your next turn. So that is kind of interesting. At the beginning of your turn, gain control of the first creature. So it kind of works a little bit more like Kidnap now, which I believe is also a 2 shield support. And that thing is really oppressive as well. If it is disabled, enable it, then that creature gains haste. Oh, sorry. I don't know if your comments are showing up on the live stream, unfortunately. So let me just see if I could just pull that up. I sometimes have to periodically refresh. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff. Man, I just got Aegis on my FTB. Feels like a lot of wasted BFTA. Yeah, that's tough. Was playing against Johnny in PC. Even after destroying Aegis no longer on the board, it still disabled my first creature. Well, that's weird. So Aegis is buff. Run it and that prison card, and it's a lock. That's an interesting way to look at it. I don't have to test that to see how that works in practice, but I get where you're going there. Let's see. Yeah, unless you Starfield to keep them on board, but again, not affecting ETB. Right. Kidnap is better than Aegis now. Yeah, exactly. Age ass. Yep. I agree. It went from ass Aegis to age ass. I like that. Possession Engine is dope. FYI, I agree. People don't use that card enough. That's just kind of a scary card when it hits. I can never get rid of it. I'm glad it's 1 shield. I never use it because it never stayed on board long with Greg constant matching it. Interesting. Yeah, I never use it just because I just had different ways of dealing with creatures for the most part. If you pair Aegis with any Mass Convergent deck, that thing is breaking so fast. Yeah, exactly. So that's part of why I don't feel like I'm going to use it much. Can never get rid of it. Okay, we already talked about that. Okay. All right. Back to a regularly scheduled program here. Requisition raid. Oh, this is another one. Pour one out for the dead homie here. Requisition raid is simply the best removal spell nowadays. There is one that you did not touch that I think is better. For a cheap cost, you can clear the other side of the board. We're adjusting, so it's not that easy to get a full wipe. Fine. Before, mana cost 15, and spree 1, destroy all opposing supports. Spree 2, destroy opposing creatures. Spree 3, creatures. So now it's spree 3, and then spree 5 creatures you get. The spree 3 is killer. This basically makes it so that it's not a reliable creature support removal. It's still decent support removal. 20 to destroy all opposing supports is still pretty good if you think of it that way. It's support removal with a bonus now. Which means it's still going to get play. I think people are just going to have to pack more removal into their white decks, which is, I don't know if I like that. I'd rather they have less support or less spells that break my stuff, or less cards in their deck that break my stuff, and Greg uses some other card for a combo piece because that's way easier and more fun to deal with. So if this makes people put more creature removal in their deck to compensate for this being tuned down, then I don't like that. But that's just me being selfish, I think that the spree 3 was maybe a bit too much. Mana cost, upping the mana cost. I think that if you're going to up the mana cost, then there are other things that you could do to make it I don't know. Um, Actually, I'll have to think about that more. What I would have done instead. I don't know. I personally probably wouldn't have touched requisition rate myself. I didn't see it as that big of a problem, but I don't know. I don't see a lot of people running requisition rate, and now I'm going to see even less. So I don't know. What's better, inevitable defeat? In some regards, yes. Chaos Warp though is what I'm talking about. Another card that has constant one-sided multiple destruction available together with a card expected to be used against an archetype. We're keeping the sideboard part of the card, but reducing its capabilities to affect other opposing threats. Okay. Before mana cost 13, when the first opposing creature attacks, deal X damage to each opposing creature. X is equal to your loyalty, then destroy an opposing support card at random. Now it's mana cost 10. No destroying opposing support card. That actually makes it a lot easier to deal with, because a lot of times I would play my demo field and hope it survives the next turn so it gets to their desert. So I think this card has been rebalanced in an acceptable way. It costs a little less, so there's a little bone gets thrown. It's still punishing conversion, which is really the main reason people were playing it. I think it was just doing too much for you before. The original design for this card was really meant to be a counter to GTA, but they nerfed GTA and left Desert and all that the same. So I'm surprised that the Desert lasted as long as it did. I know people love this card. Other people hated facing it, and I guess they're more placating the people who hated facing it, and that's their choice. But I know it's a lot of people that do not like that. I mean, I was playing Desert as like my third option in a deck that has things like Demo Field and Desolate Mire, and it was a lot of times the one I cut first. For me, I didn't rely on Desert being something to it wasn't something that was a huge part of my strategy. So personally, I'm not that sad about Desert getting changed, but I know a lot of people really relied on it. Let's see. Any new chats here? Oh yeah. Chaos Warp, all the things now. Yep. Yeah, not reliable without gem conversion on starter round. Yeah. And I know you don't like playing gem conversion that much, Gauze. That's why you don't like lands and stuff. Portent of Calamity better than MT now? It might be. Yeah, I said Portent earlier, and Main said it's not a spell. Well, yeah. But that was also before I saw what the changes were to Mystical Teachings. So I still hate it, but just a little less now. I'm 18. What are we looking at? Is this a link or my document? Oh, no, this is a link. This is on the, oh, sorry, you're late. Sorry, not 18. I'm like, why are you telling me your age? What does that have to do with anything? Sorry. Small text. Defang better than MT now. Shut up. What are we? Sorry. Where were we at with the it's a spell? Well, yeah, I mean, MT is still a spell, so you're going to be able to trigger it more than once a turn. That was the point I was trying to make with that. But if the effect of the spell is not strong enough, then who cares? And I am ready to concede that at this point. But for people who are trying to say that a support is just as good as a spell because they were only able to trigger the spell once per turn, it's like, well, that's your own deck building decisions determining that for you. That's not how the game actually works. Demolition Field. When some effects stack too many times, they end up being problematic. We're reducing a bit the power of Demolition Field to wipe opposing supports and give mana at the same time per turn. So basically, they just have the amount of activate gems. I always thought it was kind of nutty to have two of each color. That seemed very oppressive. I'm still going to play Demolition Field. I think that effect is still really strong. It's just not going to be as reliable as a mana gain source as it was before. But yeah, I mean, I still really love Demo Field. Temp with Bunnies, another card that gets very fast in the hundreds with the right setup. We're bringing its power a bit closer to what bunnies look like. They can still go to hundreds, just not always and not alone. Fair enough. Mana cost 14. Gift your paint. The thing is, though, that's really more hurting the players of Template Bunnies, because Greg sucked at making Template Bunnies really lethal. Were you really running into a one-shot kill against a Template Bunnies deck very often? I don't think so. It was more a thing that I was using for my own win cons, especially in PvE events. There was that one where you have to draw cards to hit objectives. This was a good card for that because you could just you give the gift and you're drawing 4 cards already, and then you're hitting for like 100 something right away. And now that it's only getting +5/+5 until end of turn, that really tunes down the power of this guy to the point where what are you really playing this for? The life gain and the draw cards? Do you really need a masterpiece spell that does that for you? And you're gifting your opponent 5 loyalty. Yeah, this was a bad one. I think that they way underpowered this card. This got the nerf so badly in a way that I don't think I ever really needed it, but I think this was another one that got swept up in the whole like Titans Vanguard, Master of Keys philosophy, but I don't like it. Temp with Discovery, oh man, this one sucks. The strongest conversion card paired with Galta on green. It's time for other cards to shine, so we're reducing this card's power to make it less efficient and avoid it netting a full mana hand on almost all casts. Okay. Yeah, I get that it was too strong, but it was the only mass conversion spell we have in the game that gave us mana. With Mystical Teachings being nerfed, I don't think that this needed to be touched as hard as it did. It still gets to Discover 2. Or is it Discover 4 twice? I think that's how you say it. Converting 12 gems to green is still pretty good as an effect, but this makes it a little bit more of a niche card. You're not just going to splash it everywhere in every green deck anymore. I think this can still be a powerful card in some of my decks. My mono green decks will still be able to take advantage of this card in a pretty major way. But I can't just throw it in a lot of my dual and tricolor green Planeswalker decks, unfortunately. So I hate it. I hate that it got changed, but I also do understand. Between this and Galta and MT in every Grist deck, it was getting a bit much. But what do you guys think? You guys probably don't agree. I think you guys probably cursing me. Demo Field nerf is fair, still a good card. Can't MT into LNL now. LNL being what's LNL? I should know this. Lock and Load. Oh yeah. Lock and Load being 16 mana. That's an interesting observation. Yeah, dang, that sucks. Cuz I use MT into Lock and Load a lot to refresh my hand and get a couple full mana cards into my hand there. But I'll probably just use Lock and Load again. That's what I was using a lot before MT. So yeah, the more I think about MT's nerf, the less I like it. I'm sorry, guys. You have a brother in me. Leyline of the Guild Pack. This card's current overflow effect is just too strong in generating mana at free value. Yeah, it should be a bit more fair effect when the board doesn't convert a great deal to a side because the player had a lucky draw. Before overflow, destroy all gems your opponent's planeswalker colors. Overflow, destroy a block of 6x6 gems. In some ways, that's cool. That's cool in a different way. Yeah, as long as they kept the overflow, they made it a little different. I think it's still a playable card. They still made it so that converts to 6, which for that amount of mana investment makes sense. So I don't know. I gotta play this card and see if I like it more now. I think some of the decks will actually prefer this version of it. The ones that are playing demo field, any of those activate gem cards, or gold tokens. If you're playing gold tokens, this is gonna be sick. Yeah, I don't hate that actually. I think in some ways it's a little bit of an improvement. But I don't know. If you're using Leyline of the Guild Pack for control, maybe you feel the opposite way that I do. But I don't know. I think that's kind of just a lateral move there. I don't think that's that big of a deal. What's the cry emoji about? You have to explain that one to me. Is it because of Leyline? Okay, Cryptics. Another big one getting changed. Cryptics today, the most played card in Magic Gathering. Puzzle Quest, according to our analytics. According to mine, too. I don't know if you guys remember me doing the meta report earlier this year. And Cryptics was, I think, the number 2 or 3 most played card in Standard. When designing MKM, we desire to see more variety in deck building, faster games, and less challenging game plays at events for our players to make the game more inclusive. And we allowed more permissive with colorless or domain powerful cards for that very reason, so players would have access to better cards and more options of gain action if they had more mana available. Well, I think you succeeded with Cryptics in that form. It worked the opposite way. The hyper-focused conversion to your highest mana bonus is too strong at this level, and the main reason why this card is so popular is that we now see it basically reduce your deck building in one card, because there's no reason not to include a Cryptics. Unless you're Gauze and you just don't like Cryptics for some reason. The card draw is just the icing on the cake when it's destroyed, allowing you to find a new Cryptics to get the engine going. For that reason, we're reducing Cryptics power drastically. Again, over nerf, mana cost, but it is over nerf, but it's exactly what I expected them to do. Raise the cost and convert only 3 instead of 5. It's what it should have been at the first, in the first place, but it's such a good card as it was. It's just a feel bad now that it's not what we're used to anymore. But I can't really say it's wrong that they did that, especially when you compare it to everything else that came before and after it. But like, it was when they spoiled the set, I looked at Cryptics, I was like, oh, this is going to be the number 1 chase card in the rare category. And guess what? I was right. Starseer Mentor. Oh, an uncommon without a limiter to how much pain it could deliver. But I love those types of uncommons. Those are the uncommons I love. The ones that are broken. And they get away with it because they're uncommons. It's easy to see it deliver great amounts paired with lifelink and other life gain sources. So the guy needs to be a little bit more on the side of little. I suppose. Mana cost 18. Your opponent loses life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Make it a masterpiece then and leave it alone. Mana cost 13 and your opponent loses life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn up to 10. So it's still kind of playable in low-level strategies, but everyone was using it for STA. So in a way, STA got a nerf because Starseer Mentor got a nerf. Full throttle, same reasons we had for Back in Town apply here. Speed is good, but not that fast. It was a bonkers card, but it did cost a lot. X is a total power creature you control up to 15. What if it was half? I mean, I guess that doesn't really, that just makes it more annoying without changing the function. So I guess if that is how you feel about it, then I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. But I wasn't using full throttle that much anymore. Doesn't mean other people were not, but those are the only uncommons we're going after. Exactly, yeah. Small time players aren't allowed to have big fun. You're welcome. Yeah, go chase the big cards, unless you're scared of them being nerfed, which you are right to do so. Full throttle crap now is one of the few players, but never came across it in the meta. Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily nerfed because it was a problem. I think it was, again, a change in philosophy means a change in cards. Okay, we also want to bring more options to the game. So here's the good stuff. Not only nerfing powerful cards, we select cards to receive improvements and help shift the meta. We hope this renews deck building ideas and allows more diversity in the matches. Well, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Ashling Flame Dancer. Okay, this one did sound interesting before. When you cast a spell card, ignite 2 gems. Then, if there are 6 or more ignited gems, gain 8 mana. When you match 8 or more ignited gems, deal 2 damage to each opposing target, then draw a card. So now, when you cast a spell card, ignite 3 gems. Cool. Especially if you're running red conversion. That's actually kind of relevant. Then if there are 4 or more ignited gems, gain 10 mana. So that's going to be, so you only need to cast 2 spells to gain 10 mana. That's pretty cool. When you match 1 or more ignited gems, deal 3 damage to each opposing target, then draw a card. So I think that this makes it a little, yeah. I love that it's now a reduction in ignited gems to gain the 10, and now it's 10 mana as opposed to 8. I think this card, yeah, I definitely want to try this more now. And that looks very intriguing to me. That's my type of card right there. Emperor of Bones. Before this creature gets +2/+2, then return the first skeleton card from your graveyard to your hand. And then that skeleton card is supposed to gain the mana equal to this creature's power, if you guys aren't familiar with it. After this creature gets +5/+5, then return the first card from your graveyard to your hand. So it doesn't have to be a skeleton card anymore. So they actually made this card more like more of the bonkers way that people wanted to use it in the first place. When people first saw this card, they were like, oh, well, this is just going to make things so easy to cast because you just play you just put a bunch of stuff in your graveyard, and then you return the skeleton. You return any card. So they're basically making it more like how people wanted it to be in the first place. So I think this is good. This might be broken good again, but another one I'm going to have to test. But you know, this is one of the things that I was looking forward to, actually, when it came to the rebalancing here, is a chance to try out some of these cards rebalanced and see if we get new utility out of them without having to deal with everyone's Rakdoses destroying everything before I get a chance to do anything fun in a match. But that's me. That's how I feel. Maha is Feather's Knight. Before at the beginning of your turn, if your opponent controls a reinforced creature or a creature with base toughness 3 or less, all opposing creatures get -3/-3. Beginning of your turn, all opposing creatures get -3/-3. This is going to get very annoying. It makes it a playable card. It doesn't make it something that's going to be like taking over the meta or anything. But this actually is a stronger effect than most people give it credit for. I don't know if people remember, what's the name of that one? It was an old Amonkhet. What's the name of that? The black support that drains your first opposing creature every one of your turns. It's got the dude drowning the other dude in the picture. I'm sure one of you guys have know in there. But that card was super annoying. It was a support, so it was a little bit more difficult to deal with than a creature. But yeah, if you don't get rid of this card, it will cause some issues for you. So I think this makes it a little bit more playable. um, what do you call it? Meat Hook Massacre. Basically just changes mana cost. Yeah, that was a card I didn't really want to use because the mana cost was 23, but it makes it an interesting card now. It's probably not one. It's just not my style of card, Meat Hook Massacre 2. So I'm probably not going to use it much, but I think some of you like this card. So you guys are probably happy about the pretty drastic reduction. Let's see, what are people saying? Football night, but I popped in to say hi. Red is strong with the Force now. Ashling about to test now. Not red conversion with Cryptics. Definitely want to play with Flame. Oh, you probably meant Flame Dancer. Got a nice stack deck with Ashling, Borborygnos, some lands, Fire Annihilation, Dragonhawk. It's Chef's Kiss good. That all sounds pretty good. I'm surprised D-Hawk wasn't touched. Me too a little bit, but maybe it wasn't the issue that people were thinking it was. I mean, it's possible that they changed D-Hawk later, right? World Souls Rage, they didn't do anything except change its mana cost to 8. I don't know. I rarely ever ran into World Souls Rage. Once GTA was gone, there wasn't a lot of reason to play World Souls Rage anymore. So I don't know. Do all these changes mean that mana conversion lands that convert convert mana or gems, I should say, is there going to be some big proliferation in those kinds of cards in decks? I don't think so. So, I mean, a cosmetic help more than anything. Okay, Scalding Viper. Not a card I was using much. When an opponent casts a card that costs 11 or less. Okay, so it's doing a little bit more damage in a slightly larger range of cards. That will trigger it. But I don't know. I don't think people care. I don't think this is going to make people suddenly start to use it more. Etherize, same. I don't think the effect is one that I usually go for. Double-sided board wipe is just not my thing. So some people might like that, but I don't know. I never play with Etherize. Anybody in here play with Etherize? I don't think so. Fiery Annihilation. Mana cost from 20 to 10. Yeah, this was way overcosted. Fiery Annihilation is a really good card with a good effect, but it was just way too costly to use in most decks. Now I think it's a really nice card. For 10, to deal damage to an opposing creature and destroy 5 of their supports. I think it's still going to require a creature on their side for the support destruction to trigger. So there is that part of it, and that is one thing that also kept me from using it. I could probably get by on it costing mana 20. If it's still triggered without creatures on their side. But with 10, I think it's a decent sideboard now. Magma Quake, not a card I really cared about one way or the other. Starwinder I like. Starwinder is a good card. I like Starwinder as an easy way to refill my hand. Some of my favorite decks to run are decks that at some point in my turn I get tons of mana, full hand of mana, preferably. Cast all my cards, refill my hand, and start the cycle again next turn. Those are pretty much my favorite types of decks to run, aside from loop decks. So Starwinder is a really is one of those cards that are really key for that type of deck. Because if I'm playing Starwinder, I refill my hand, and then on my next turn I get tons of mana through other means, then I just get to do that every turn, and that's great. So making Starwinder easier to get out, and I never really use the warp cost, but it's there. So yeah, I like the Starwinder buff. Nowhere to Run. I don't even know this card. Before, at the end of your turn, each opposing creature loses hexproof until the beginning of your next turn. At the end of your turn, all opposing... Yeah, so I don't really care about hexproof that much. The only time I really care about it is if I'm playing something that is targeted, like Disable. A lot of stun counter cards rely on targeted. So that is one reason to use it. But I don't know, if you're not playing untargeted removal, then you maybe care about this card. But I don't. I mostly play untargeted removal almost exclusively, so I don't really care about hexproof one way or the other. Calamitous Cave-In, mana cost 10 to 6. I think that was a crappy card either way. Doesn't matter what the mana cost was. Okay, where are we at with chat? Don't give them ideas after they handle some of these nerfs. I don't trust them. Teehee, loop all the things. Hey, I didn't give them these ideas. They came up with this themselves. Galvanic Giant. When you cast a card with mana value 15 or greater, the opposing creature with the greatest power gains stun counter 1. When you cast a mana card with 12. Okay, so okay, I don't even know if I have this card yet or what set it's from, but okay, it just makes it a little bit easier to give them stun counter, but I don't know. Do I care that much? Not really. Draconic Roar. Don't even remember. Melt Strider's Gear. Before your first creature gets +2/+2, gains. Okay, yeah. Well, that was stupid. I mean, that should have been fixed like way before this. Gains reach until end of turn. I mean, did nobody looked at that and was like, well, that's dumb. Oh, well. Better late than never, right? It'll be a decent little card in Commoner Cup. Tidespout Tyrant. Yeah, way overcosted. I think it's a cool card, but mana cost 21 was just like, why? It's not that powerful that it needs to be that expensive. So now it's a little better. Olibu, Ancient Witness. I'll have to look to see what card that is. I remember it looking interesting, but then seeing that mana cost and being like, oh, this is a defender with a mana cost 20. Not worth it. So maybe at 14 it's a little worth it. Eumidian Wastewalker, don't remember what that is. Rurik Thar, a little cheaper. I don't like playing Rurik Thar. I end up dealing too much of the damage to myself before anything. So I don't like it. It's a double-edged sword that happens to be sharper on my side most of the time. So Sandstorm, I really wish they did more to Sandstorm. I was really hoping for it to be an actually playable card. When it comes in a $80 bundle, every card needs to be good. Every card needs to be at least $20 good worth. So if this converted gems, I wish it converted gems. How about take that idea, Webcore? Make it convert gems. Ignore what I said about the other cards that we don't want nerfed. Blind Obedience. This one, with the change to Assimilation Aegis, like I was talking about in Gauze's chat, I'll be playing Blind Obedience more than Assimilation Aegis at this point. I mean, I still will probably play Assimilation Aegis because it's a good thing to fetch with Golden Wish. And that's a lot of times what I was using Aegis for, is just a way to enable Golden Wish. Because a lot of my decks aren't too reliant on disabling what my opponent is doing. Maybe that's to my detriment, but it's just not my play style. Depth Shaker Titan, I was surprised at this. I thought it was fairly costed at mana cost 18 because of how quickly it gets pretty big. So so now that it's 10, makes it that much better. I think that's really cool, actually. Planetary Annihilation, decent card. You do have to have certain things in play. Your opponent, I don't think actually. I think this works in my play testing. I believe that it still will damage creatures even if they don't have lands in play. Because I'm pretty sure I've played this card in a red burn deck, and it worked that way. It wouldn't cast if there were no creatures in play, so that's good. It doesn't auto cast, but I believe it did cast if there were no lands and creatures in play. So it actually is a pretty cool card if it's now only 12. I'm going to have to play that again just to make sure. I could be completely wrong about that. And you guys are listening to misinformation, but hopefully not. I think I remember it working that way. I made like a Jaya 1 red Spellburn deck, so I was playing around with my red burn cards and seeing what works well. Priest of the Crossing. This is the one. It's a zombie that fetches a vehicle and gives it full mana. So this is basically the Volt Strider card. To me, it's so narrow of a design that there's only one vehicle really worth playing, and that is Volt Strider. And this card is just kind of makes you fetch Volt Strider quicker, which for some people, Nalthazar included, is a really valuable thing. For me, I'm like, meh. I think that's a strong ability, but it's kind of boring to me. I think I would get bored of that before I even finish mastering this card. I don't know. I just want a little bit more complex deck building for myself personally, but you do you. That seems more like a bug fix than a nerf buff. Which one? I might have missed which one you were talking about. The Melt Strider or Planetary Annihilation. Borborygmos Enraged. I actually think this is a pretty good card. People aren't using it a lot because, you know, it's a masterpiece. But anywhere that you need to fetch supports or like cast X or more supports, cast X or more lands, summon X or more lands, this is actually pretty good for that. I didn't think there was anything wrong with him costing 16 mana. But the fact that he costs 11 mana now makes him, you know, a little bit more of a masterpiece because you're like, okay, it's 11 mana. It's a decent body, right? I think it's like a 6/5 or something like that. So a 6/5 for 11 is not bad. And then it's doing cool things for you, fetching you lands, which you can either exile to hurt your opponent creatures or you'll cast them. And in certain events, I'm casting them, so that's cool. I think I was using this in Survivors of the Four Tribes, where you need to cast like 8 lands or something like summon 8 lands or something like that. And it's an easy way of doing that if you don't have Ren and Realmbreaker. But if you do have Ren and Realmbreaker, maybe you're like, who cares? I don't need that. Demon Fire, mana cost 15 to 6. Still not a great card. I've played it a little bit, and it's not so much the mana cost that needed to be buffed. I think the levels needed to be buffed by a lot. I think they actually debuffed the levels that it goes up in. So in a way, this also got nerfed, even if they reduced the cost. Because I think it only raises a level up by 1 every time you cast a red card. It should be like 5 or something to be a masterpiece level card. Keep the mana cost at 15. Who cares? But if it leveled up by 5 every time you cast a red card, then now we're talking. Now that's a spell worth putting in Raw and all that. But all right, that's all the balancing changes. Do you guys want to... Oops, I don't know why I'm doing that. Do you guys want to look at the rest of the balancing stuff here? Oh, wait, that's just what I looked at. General discussion. Where is it? Was it news and announcements? The release notes. Yeah, we're talking this stuff. You guys interested in that? Let me know. All right, cool. Oh, the nerf comment was for the creature got reach until the next. Yeah, well, that was a support. Yeah, gaining reach until the end of your turn is absolutely useless. So they should have fixed that a long time ago. That should have been fixed like right after that card was released. Okay, so Una, Queen of the Fae, brand new blue-black Planeswalker. I like blue-black, so I'm always happy to see more blue-black Planeswalkers. Okay, colors. HP 107, fine. Mana bonuses, okay. Getting 7 on color matches, but no downside. I don't know. It's an okay spread. Cost 7, create 5 memory seed tokens. And what do these do? These seed tokens cannot be reinforced. When one of your cards has mana drained on the opponent's turn, destroy a support. When this support is destroyed, all cards in your hand gain 2 mana. Well, that's way too dependent on what your opponent is doing. Like, is mana drain like such a big deal that you need a whole thing based on it? I don't know. That seems really like, how often is that actually going to trigger? I don't know. That kind of sucks to me. Dreaminitions. Okay, that's not a word, is it? Create a fairy token, reinforce it 3 times, and drain X mana from your opponent's hand. X is the number of fairy creatures you control, including their reinforcement. I hope that's not right, because that was, if it was, drain X mana from your opponent's hand. If this said when one of your opponent's cards have mana drained on your turn, then this would be cool, because then it would be all cards in your hand getting 2 mana when you use the ability too. That would be some synergy happening there. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that first ability. Destroy all supports, exile all graveyards. Uh-oh. All creatures +2/+2 for each of their reinforcements. Yeah, first glance here, I'm not really feeling these abilities. Tell me if I'm missing something there, but these effects are way situational. Why do I really want to destroy all my supports? I like supports. Exiling all graveyards. I don't know. I think that's, I guess, decent anti-grist, but there's way better anti-grist out there, so I don't know. All creatures get +2/+2 for each of their reinforcements, so you're probably going to want to play this with a lot of tokens. But I don't know. I don't like that first ability. Is so useless, right? What are you guys saying? That is weak AF. Dreaming is science. Yeah, there you go. Level game Demon Fire wasn't changed. It was always 2, which ain't great. Oh, okay. But yeah, they should have changed that level gain to something much more substantial to make it worth playing more. Okay, hopefully Tevish gives us some hope here. Doom of Fools. Okay, he's a mono black, which I'm actually enjoying mono black these days. I have some fun mono black decks that I was going to make content for, but I just haven't had a chance to really. Things are starting to slow down a slight bit for me, so maybe I'll get a little bit more content out there for you guys in the holiday season. Okay, Tevish that. Doom of Fool's ability will give you the power to gain loyalty and convert gems passively. Okay, well, actually, I never read those. They're hardly ever actually relevant. 129 HP, pretty beefy for a mono black. Black gets 5, blue gets 4. No negative bonuses. Not terrible. 5 creatures, 8 spells, 6 supports. Okay, we get spells here. Problem is, there is one blue-black spell that he probably won't be putting in this deck. Sad. Passive ability, Torturous Transmutation. When a creature is destroyed in your turn, gain 2 loyalty. Okay. This effect can trigger up to 3 times per turn. Interesting. It's the 3rd time this ability trigger this turn. Convert 4 gems to black. Interesting. Okay, so you probably want to play some a decent amount of creature destruction in this deck, both on your side and theirs. Interesting. See how that plays out. Cost 12 for ability. This better be good. Destroy target creature. If you controlled that creature, convert 6 gems to black. Kind Cost 12 though. I mean, it's cool. There are things you can do with that. I don't hate it, but cost 12. I don't know. Ability 2, Planar Gate Summoning, cost 20. Damn. Create 8 zombie tokens. That creature gains Berserker and gains the Thrall subtype. Then your non-Thrall creatures gain Menace. Okay. For 20. Okay, so you're creating a 16/16 zombie stack with Berserker. What's the Thrall subtype, though? Does that come into play at all? Cost 20, though. Damn. That is way too expensive for that. Life Silencer, cost 26. Gain control of each opposing legendary creature. Okay. Create a copy under your control of each opposing Vanguard support. Okay. Then exile each opposing Vanguard support. Convert X gems to black. X is the number of cards you control into play. That's interesting. Cost 26 is a lot, but we can find ways to gain loyalty in mono black fairly easily, as long as you have what's it called? God, why I'm so bad at remembering names right now. But I don't know. I think those abilities are very overcosted. I was gonna make some content. Who's playing Mana Drain? Exactly. Stop reminding me. Yeah, I know. Trust me, I don't like to be reminded either. I don't know. I think these abilities are way overcosted. Ability 3 is cool, but it's only for legendary creatures. I mean, people aren't really playing Vanguards much right now. Maybe they'll actually... Maybe this opens up the possibility of getting some good Vanguards again. We haven't had great ones lately. There's like one every 2 sets that's playable. So hopefully that changes. Okay, new events, allied pairs. This is a single player. Is it PvP? Okay. We haven't had a new PvP in a little while. Hopefully it's fun. Start of a match, player will choose one of 5 supports to help him in combat, while the opponent will choose another. Okay. I kind of like those kinds of events. When you cast a blue card, draw 2 cards. When you cast a black card, first opposing creature is -2/-2. Okay, not bad. Okay, so each of these, when you cast a green... All right. Casting... You know, I don't hate these. These are actually kind of fun. These actually kind of look fun to build around. When you cast a black card, these first opposing creature is -2/-2. When you cast a red card, deal 5. Yeah. Cast a white card, gain 5 life. When you cast, that's probably like the weakest one, maybe. But I actually don't hate these. I think this is actually kind of a fun idea for designing around, because it's like, okay, these are actually relevant things. You can actually get fun things to happen from these event supports. So I don't hate it. Okay, talk about the balancing changes. Cards and planeswalkers. Okay, there's some bug stuff fixes. Rings of Bright Earth interaction with some targeted gem effects causing soft locks. Oblivion Ring exiling tokens even if text specifies non-tokens. Oh. Yeah, the Rings of Bright Earth thing was something I saw getting it was getting reported here and there, so that's nice. Dawn Sire, Sunstar Dreadnought, missing the spacecraft subtype. Like anybody was playing that. Gas Lord of Fugue's ability not triggering when a damage is dealt to opposing planeswalker. Oh. Sig River Cutthroat not removing 5 loyalty from the opposing planeswalker. Okay. Well, that's probably a good thing. Fixed Reaper King Scare Spawn token not giving opposing creatures -X/-0. That's what happens when your eyes go faster than your lips. Good. I think Reaper King is pretty fun. I think his strength is on par with somebody who has access to all colors all the time. He can't be too strong, or else he's just going to be the next Grist. So I don't. Wings of Gold, not triggering with move effects. Oh, okay. Null Spine Dragon's text rewritten as gain mana equal to the number of red gems on the board. How was it written before? Because I thought that's how it has been working. Bovine Intervention's text was modified to clarify its effects. Okay, so it was supposed to always be only creature cards. I was wondering about that because that would destroy, token supports and not make a bunch of cows that way, and when I expected to. So there you go. Good to know that is what the actual intent was for that card. That's a lot of loyalty. I'm going to give you 7 loyalty and give me a destroy target. Yeah, no kidding. 26 is too much, even with ripples. Ripples, that's what I was trying to think of. It is. Technically, you do get 2 loyalty back for the initial cost of 12. You do technically, but it's more the whole idea of what the initial loyalty cost is what gets in the way there. So I thought there was something about the Planeswalker sale. Was it in this one that they were talking about the Planeswalker sale? Yeah. So here's a preview of what's to come. The presents, you get a free Elite Pack on December. Okay, 3 days, 3 Elite Packs. Hopefully they are of Shadowmoor, because that's all I care about. I already have the cards from everything else, but for everybody else, I'm sure you'll get some cool stuff you want. 2025 holiday card will be available. Interesting. We'll see what that is. New event will debut on December 10th, so tomorrow. Cool. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to playing that one. Okay, Jumpstart. The only time they ever play this, so they might as well just adjust the what do you call it? They might as well adjust the cost to be what is it to play it? 240. So I might as well just be 120. How about you guys run Jumpstart more often? I know most people don't care about Jumpstart, but there are some cool cards in it, and some of us want to play it a little more. I actually don't want to play it. I take that back. Jumpstart sucks to play. It's not as bad as the Lorwyn Planeswalker event, but not that much better. Planar Chaos. Okay, so it'll cost a little less, so that's nice. Trial of Planes, also nice. Battle from the Ages. Okay. I'm playing that tomorrow. Battle from the Ages. We're getting that. So we're playing, so we're getting the new event and Battles from the Ages at the same time. So maybe play the allied pairs, get your gold, and then then spend that gold in Battles from the Ages. Ultimate Planeswalk. Is that the one where you play like 5 different nodes? One of them is, they're all like, the nodes are different cards that you get from the anniversary event. I think that's that one, right? And that one gives masterpieces. This one was, I believe this was the event that they goofed the first time and let you replay it over and over again. So people just kept getting masterpieces and therefore tons of orbs, and crafted their way to a full standard collection. That was a few years ago if you weren't around for that, but a lot of us cleared out our collections that way. And that is why so many of us have crazy collections. The vets do. You found an entrance with bonus rewards. Okay, interesting. Fateful Showdown, and of course, he's back. You'll face... This is the yearly God Pharaoh appearance for this event. I mean, I don't mind this event. I know people don't love the long PvE events, but if we get all charges up front, then you just go through it at your own pace, and I think people will like that a lot more. Well, let's see what we got in the chat. Most people here. Shieldred, or I just want the cards. I want the OG Ultimate Planeswalk. I hear it was crazy. Were you not here for that, Acid? I missed that over the weekend. So The devs weren't around to stop us. Man, I was pissed. Yeah, there were a couple of people who quit the game because they were not able to participate in that. So they saw everybody else fill out their collections, and they were left in the dust. So they were like, F this, I'm done with this game. Which sucks because there were some people who were really into the game who quit over that. But, you know, I'm sure people will quit over the rebalancing. So it is what it is. Okay, December 17th, a special edition of Story Mode. That's it. I guess that'll be cool. Story Mode is too easy to me. I think that the final bosses they can make a little stronger. They aren't even to the level of like a Ravnica boss battle. Maybe it's, you know, meant for newbies to get easy rewards, but for those of us who like story mode, I kind of miss having a beefy boss to go against every week. Oh well. Beginner's Best Deal Bundle. I don't even know what that is. Holiversary Foil Bundle. Oh, interesting. Those who like to have shiny things for the holidays can get the Holiversary 2025 Foil Bundle. What will that be? There's also a little something for those who want to achieve more. Get a Holiversary exclusive Top Planeswalkers Holiversary Bundle before December 27th. Anybody have any more info on that? Have they given us info? Maybe we'll see it there. December 10th to 16th will offer a booster sale. It'll include most sets in the history of games except for the 3 most recent ones. Well, that's okay, because the 3 most recent ones are probably the ones people are interested in the least. Hate to say it. December 19th to 21st, you'll get more for less in our Mana Crystal sale. They had a pretty solid Mana Crystal sale recently where everything you got like twice. Was it half off or it was twice the amount of crystals for the same amount? I think it was twice the amount of crystals for the same price. Make space for the new year with the deck slot sale. Looking forward to that. One of the few things I still find reason to spend crystals on. Finally, from December 24th to January 4th, you'll find traditional discounts for new friends in our Planeswalker sales. Most Planeswalkers will be included in the sale except for you guys. Come on. Aminatu, basically all the ones that we were telling people to save for. They'll be present in the bundle, so you'll still be able to grab them, but they won't be available at a discount. I feel like that's kind of misguided, especially with the way that us content creators and stuff, we're really pushing for people to save their crystals for the sale because we knew that get a discount. This is the first time they've ever like deliberately taken out some older walkers for this sale. I don't like that. I don't think anybody likes that. Webcore might think that's a good idea to do it this way, but no, it's just one of those like weird artificial things that is just really kind of, as far as everything goes, this to me is the most anti-consumer move they made, even more so than the bundles, or more so than the rebalancing, because this is just this is like a brand new thing. They never did it this way before. Planeswalkers released with Edge of Eternities, Lorwyn, and Shadowmoor. I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I think everything before Edge of Eternity is going to have a discount. Yeah, this is probably going to piss people off more than rebalancing. What do you guys think? Let's check out what people are saying. That's a really, really bad decision with these walkers. I agree. I don't think they should have did it that way. Are you saying that we'll reintroduce the crystals again with 100% discount? I don't know. Oh, you didn't know these weren't going to be available for gold. Well, they're still available for gold. They're just not discounted. I don't think they're available for gold. I think they'll only be available for IRL money. What? But it says they'll be present in the bundles. Or is that the bundle that they're going to be selling? Is that what you mean? Because I was trying to find what that bundle meant. And I'm not seeing much info on that. All I see are they talk about pack bundles, but I don't see where do they talk about planeswalker bundles. Oh, okay. Top planeswalkers Holiversary bundle before 27. I'm confused. What does that exactly mean? So I'm guessing these. Yeah. So you're probably right. You're probably right that these planeswalkers are going to be in that bundle. But what does that exactly mean in relation to this? Um, yeah, I'm confused. I don't expect you guys to have the answers, but I'm just a little bit unclear as to what they're planning on doing there. It's not really making a lot of sense to me. Yeah, bundle as in IRL cash. Bundles have only ever been cash. Definitely selling. Okay. Well, that stinks. I don't like that. That's a really. Oh man. Oh, that that bums me out way more than the rebalancing. To be honest, I feel like that's way more of a bait and switch than the rebalancing. To me personally. Um, yeah, I don't really know what to say about that other than I think that's shitty. I I guess from a company's perspective, uh, what's their rationale? They're just trying to squeeze a little bit of money out of people in that way. Um, yeah, that sucks. I don't know what else to say about that. Gosh. Well, at least we're almost done. Sorry to end on a bummer note here. December 2017 and 24, the following pack bundles for standard sets will receive unprecedented discounts. What are those bundles? Are those the ones that came with the collector boxes, I think? December 28th, all players will be able to purchase collector boxes. Okay. So those are the ones that come for, or those are usually VIP only. If you want to complete your collection of powerful planeswalkers from December 22, you can get special discounts in Amanatu and Nicol Bolas. Well, would have been nicer to get them for crystals. I don't know. I think they're trying to really spin that into something that's making it sound better than it is, but yeah. Show me the money. Yeah, right. Exactly. I don't know. I think that's really gonna hurt them. I think the people that would have bought something like that, I think they could have did something different there. If they don't put those for crystals, make sure to save some of your crystals and don't spend crystals on planeswalkers until then. I advised the player yesterday who was returning after 4 years to get Grist, Amanatu, and Dak on the upcoming discount sale like every year. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what I was doing too. New planeswalker in the shop now. I see Lathril, Blade of the Elves. She sucks. I've been playing her a little bit, and I don't like her. I think her abilities are not good. Trying to grab as much guys as I can before we all quit. Oh no, guys, they got you too. You're one of them now. May your Holiversary be magical. Well, it's definitely going to be a little less magical for a lot of people. Yeah. I imagine there's going to be a lot of chatter on the forum about that, and people are going to not be that happy about it. What? Yeah, I don't know. What? Anything else you guys want to talk about before we go here? I think I pretty much covered everything as far as like the official thing. I was considering going into the comments and just reading some of the feedback that people have got about rebalancing, but I don't think I really have the time to do that right now, and I'm not really organized enough at the moment to go through that. But yeah, now that you've gotten my thoughts about everything, feel free to sound off in the comments if you're watching this later on. I know a lot of you have already let me know how you guys feel in the posts leading up to this, and I've been going back and forth with everybody about it. I don't think it's so much the sky is falling that people are making it out to be with all the rebalancing and all that. I think the game will be totally fine in the long term unless they start doing more and more of these weird cash grab decisions. That to me is a lot more harmful to the trust of the community, I would say, because it's affecting the purchasing decisions of people more so than the changes to cards. The changes to cards, people definitely be more wary about buying things when they know they can be changed. But I think that if they do start doing more rebalances on a smaller scale more often, especially for cards that are not exclusives, not part of pay bundles, I think people will be a little bit less reactionary to it. I do understand that people pay for a specific thing and don't want that to be messed with. But I do think that it got to a critical mass where they just had their hands tied of their own making. So like if you're not in support of that decision, then yeah, don't spend. I'm not telling people that they should have to keep spending if they don't want to. It's everybody's decision what they want to do with their time and money. So if this game is no longer feeding that need for you, then no hard feelings if you gotta go. But I think a lot of people are also of the mind that this was a necessary change to the game. I don't think all the changes were necessary, but I am looking forward to seeing things change a little bit in terms of deck building goes. That's really all I care about these days, and they just haven't really given me a good reason with the last few sets to really get in there and start brewing things. So the change to Mystical Teachings, as much as I hate it, as far as like completely nerfing the functionality of that card to the point where it's really kind of a niche card that doesn't really do a lot for a lot of people in most decks, that will get me to see if I can find other things that will help me reach that same power level with other cards there. So I hope that people look at this in a positive light and see it as a opening to the meta a little bit, an opening to the not only to the design space as far as not only your own personal deck building goes, but what type of cards Octagon. Sure, you're Octagon today. What cards Webcore will give us in the future. I have a feeling that some things that they wanted to release that were too powerful with the cards in conjunction to how they were before. Hopefully they give us new OP cards to replace the old ones. Even if they do, don't get used to them. So yeah, I don't know. I have my own opinions about it. I'm trying to be as inclusive and understanding of everybody's differing opinions. There are ones that I definitely feel are based on emotions more than reality. So those are fun to argue with, but at the same time, let's not get too out of hand with them as well. So let's see. They're trying. Yeah. Great stream. Sky's falling. Confirm with all those packs and Walker bundles are for real money. Okay. Always try to positive change when it happens because things can't grow without change. Yeah. I mean, that's all it is at the end of the day. I mean, things are going to change. The reason like I'm kind of not too emotionally invested in it. Well, for one, I mean, my emotional investment in this game just in general has gone down in the past few months just because things got pretty stale. So, but for people who were still really into playing those same cards, yeah, that sucks for them. I mean, there's there's the inevitability of those cards not being the same thing that you're used to. But I also don't think that people need to like just, fly off the handle because their favorite cards got changed. If they don't, if you guys want to vote with your dollars on the change, then yeah, go for it. But, you know, let's not get too carried away and start like attacking people for the way they feel about it, which is starting to happen a little bit. The spirited discussions are fun, but yeah, just don't go too crazy. Start a Kickstarter and I'll contribute if it's 100% used for ads. You mean Webcore? They've never really tried to do any sort of like crowdfunding thing. It gets into a little bit dicey territory because that's even more of a personal investment than just buying the packs and stuff like that. Though, it can be maybe done in the correct way. I don't really know. Is there a good precedent for companies who've funded their games like a recurring game through Kickstarter and GoFundMe and all that? Or because that usually seems to be how people launch games off the ground. But I don't know if if people if companies use that for ongoing games. Like if they start a Kickstarter now, they'd have to be really transparent about what the intent of the Kickstarter would be. And we both know that's not their strong suit. The Planeswalker sale is what really chaps my ass. Yeah, I mean, it stopped me in my tracks when I read what was happening there. I was like, wow, I don't even know what to make of this. Like, I don't, yeah, it's pretty shitty to me. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I don't like that they did that. But, okay. I think I've said what I needed to say. So, yeah, thanks, you guys. This was definitely one of the most watched live streams live of mine. So I appreciate you guys coming in. Even after Gauze did his 2-hour thing, you guys still wanted to talk about it. Means that a lot of people are interested in the discussion here and are interested in, and are passionate about how they feel about this game. And, passion, positive passion can turn to negative passion very quickly. I see that all the time in this game, in this community. So, yeah, people vote with their dollars in a lot of ways in that regard. So, if your passion equals your dollars, then it'll be interesting to see how that goes, how everything shakes out in that regard. Because I feel like people already made their minds up as far as how they were going to feel about the rebalancing before they change them. So it almost doesn't even matter how they change the cards. To some people, just the fact that they is enough for them. Like the announcement of them made people say, I'm not spending money on this game anymore. So yeah, I mean, that's their right to feel that way. But I don't think that, I think that's a vocal minority. I don't know, maybe not. My poll maybe is a better indicator of how people actually feel. But it's all pretty divided in terms of how people feel about this, which is probably why it's making it such an interesting discussion here. So let's continue the discussion on Discord if people definitely want to keep talking about it. I do. And yeah, I think that this was a cool way for all of us to come together and voice our opinions here, both in Gauze's stream and mine here. So thanks, guys, for being here. And yeah, let's go check out that poll, actually. All right, guys, I will see you later. I'll see you on